Our wine needs a story. We understand that it doesn't make a lot of sense to everyone. The labels don't always tell you what's going on there. It's all intentional. It's all with purpose. It makes sense to us, and that's the most important part. So when we have partners that we work with, it's because we know people can talk about the wine and understand the wine the way we do, or we hope, because our wine always needs that background and that representation. It's not a wine that you just pour in a glass and makes perfect sense to people in the world that, in the way that our current world looks at wine anyway. Because we don't put ourselves in categories. We don't say we're a natural winery. We say we're traditional. We stay away from that word as it's just an overly marketed term as opposed to actually embracing what can be done. There's tools that we use and things like that. We're always trying to continue to learn about the fruit, learn about the land, try to comprehend our growing seasons, because our wines will always be a very true, honest representation of the fruit from the year in which it's grown. Meaning, no two wines will ever taste the same. It's not possible. You don't have identical growing seasons. Yet, if you follow a recipe, you can very much dictate the outcome of the wine. So wine is one of the few things we consume without a nutrition label. We don't think about all of those ingredients that could actually go into a bottle of wine. If we were extremely recipe driven to say we always want the wine to taste exactly like this, the list of ingredients we could work with is over 50 ingredients long. Ways that you can add, change, manipulate, take your wine on very different journeys. For us, it's just very strictly grape juice with the most minimal amounts of sulfur. Always to be a very true, honest representation. Very important to note, it's not right against wrong. We go to the LCBO front and center, best-selling wines there. They taste identical every single time they're purchased. There's a market for that. They do very well. Best-selling wines at the liquor store. That's not where we learn. That's not where we understand. That's not where you can help grow and educate a region by just making something taste the same every year. We want to understand the vintage and how we create wine. So a lot of times I want to generalize in saying winemakers, and again, this is a generalization, it's not everybody. Typically, you're using barrels, newer oak, to help create your wines. Add structure, add depth, add flavor profile. We don't want that, right? We want to see the natural beauty of the fruit shine through. So we're not looking at oak in that type of relationship. And so how our wines are able to have beautiful structure and balance and texture come across in them naturally, there's many things that come into play, but very important to us is the use of lees. So lees are a byproduct of fermentation, L-E-E-S. It's essentially just your leftover byproduct that's all beautiful flavor and structure. But quite often in winemaking, after fermentation, you'll rack those lees away. Wine will go in its aging vessel and it carries on. Our wines live on their lees their whole life. All of fermentation, of course, but then all of élevage, it's full extended lees contact to take that natural byproduct and help grow and develop and add structure and depth and balance to your wines naturally, again, without having to look at outside resources. All of our fermentations are done naturally. There's nothing that's inoculated, no outside yeast. Yeast is naturally present on the fruit, in the vineyard, in our environment. We allow all of our fermentations to happen at their own time. We don't push anything, we don't force anything. Again, that's a way to even change flavor profiles, bringing in different yeast strains to inoculate your wines. Everything is done naturally. We leave zero residual sugar in absolutely everything that we do. It's fermented to complete dryness. We also have the wines naturally going through malolactic fermentation. We age them now, change its journey in both foudre and concrete, always different percentages. And sometimes people think when you say something is dry, that it's sharp, it's astringent, it lacks flavor. Our wines across the board, they're all completely dry. They are not shy. They have so much fruit, they have so much flavor, they have so much to express because we have absolutely stunning fruit and we want to showcase it. We're not worried that they're completely dry because you don't, it's not the proper analogy, but it's like if I were to go eat the raspberries right now out of the garden, I'm not tasting them going, oh, the sugar, but I get all of that beautiful fruit. Now, there's still sugar present in them, but you're not overwhelmed by it. You just get all of that beautiful, ripe, lush flavor from the fruit. This is the same mindset. We're showcasing the beauty of the fruit behind it instead of letting sugar dictate its path. our wines love to be open. So I often pour most all of our whites at least 14 days being open with the cork in them. They are beautiful. The Irreverence, so the skin contact wine you have, would be from 19. When I used to pour it here for my tastings, I'd have a bottle that was fresh opened and one that was opened from a month ago. And I wouldn't tell people. I would just let them taste side by side and see what they preferred. And almost always the wine that had been open for a month was everyone's favorite. So the wines you will have then, so the 2021 Fouque Chardonnay from our home farm, a beautiful, vibrant representation, lots of fruit, light body, very expressive across the palate. 21 Chamboulay, Pinot Noir from home farm as well. A Pinot that I find almost all Pinot lovers will be drawn to and embrace. Lots of that beautiful tart red fruit coming through. Really nice, noble bitterness coming through in the back end of this wine, and lovely soft kind of tannins finding themselves. The 21 Roselana, so a rosé, not like any other rosés that we find on the market. Always looking at rosé much more in the mindset of a much more serious wine that you can enjoy year-round with food. Lots of that kind of tart expression of fruit coming from the Pinot and Gamay, and then that crunchy spice of the Syrah kind of finding itself in the back end.